So I was just like one of you. I'm a graduate from here, in this department. And in 2003, finished my PhD and basically hopped over the fence and became a faculty. So I'll tell you a little bit about how I got to that place and then currently what I do. The transition, basically the academic interview that we went through, which was the longest day. So here I am. I think I was a few years old, and I used to sort of think that, okay, I have this straight line. I'll do schooling, I'll find a job, get married, have kids maybe, and then retire. Wow, boy, was that different. I think I've gone through sort of a tortuous path. Started my PhD. That was after 5 years of staying at home, having a third child and whatnot. Came back and thinking, gosh, where did all that stuff that I knew back when I did my master's really go? I knew a lot about changing diapers and fevers in kids, and then I thought, John Grace was telling me about LRD particles, and I'm like, yeah, I remember them. Somewhere in there it's there, but it wasn't always there. I started this project, and then weekly meetings come along, and you do a little bit of reading, and I sit down with my supervisors and say, okay, so what do you want to do? It's like, what do I want to do? It was actually, that was one of the biggest struggle, I guess, I had as a PhD student in coming up with what I really wanted to do. I had so much freedom. My supervisors had plenty of money, so if I were to say, I want this instrument, they would say, okay, do what you need to do. And so from that point of view, I felt so lost. And I spoke to my mom, who said, that is an excellent training to become a prof, because basically when you become a prof, you constantly would have to be thinking about new ideas and expanding your knowledge. And where you want to focus and put your effort into was something that I never had been trained, except for when I first started. So that was my biggest struggle in PhD. Then research. Now, what you're going to be expected to do is to think beyond what you're doing right now, right? So what you're going to do is to sort of stand up in front of the department that you're applying for and say, okay, this is what I've done in my PhD, but this is what I'm going to be doing next. And that's a huge leap. And you still have to have credibility because it has to be tied into what you've done, but you also have to show them your ability to be able to sort of go beyond what you've been doing. To me, this was a bit of a struggle, especially when I had 3 supervisors in this department, and they're really huge researchers. It was very difficult to find something that I could call my own. So that's something that I gave a lot of thought on. But ultimately, it's the curiosity, right? You have to be curious. And then some places remain unknown because no one has ventured forth. Others remain so because no one has ever come back. I love the despair.com. Anyways, and finally, I'll just have to say some final words. Enjoy the journey. I don't know about you guys, but towards the end of my PhD, of course it was tough, but I also knew what was coming, which is the end of a PhD, which is pretty daunting. I actually really, really enjoyed being a student because you could actually get away with focusing on one single thing. And that's very rare in your life. So enjoy it while you can. It's a wonderful time to be able to just breathe in, breathe out the same thing and think about what you may be curious. You guys are all here because you have committed yourself, hardworking, and you have a high sort of standard to yourself and work hard at it. But sometimes you may not have everything at the same time, but that's okay. Life is long enough, and you'll try to manage certain things and focus on certain things at a time, and someday you'll get there. So that would be my biggest sort of message.